Welcome to Generation Gaming. I'm your host, Maddrequiem, and my partner in crime,
DJ Kokoro. In this show, we like to talk all about gaming from historical moments to terminology and beyond.
Our mission statement to bridge the gap between generations and platforms of gamers.
Uniting gamers with their common love for games and entertainment.
Welcome back to Generation Gaming. I'm your host, Maddrequiem.
And your co-host, DJ Kokoro.
Today, our guest is Mirby from Mirby Studios.
Howdy.
Today, our topic is card games. Okay, so the first topic we're going to talk about is we're going to start at the very beginning of card games. When you're an adolescent little kid, and I'm not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm talking about games such as Go Fish.
But Yu-Gi-Oh is my childhood though.
Go fish.
Go Fish.
Okay.
You play when you're a wee little one.
You play when you're wee and little. Okay, so the first concept of Go Fish is you're both dealt 7 cards. Well, everyone on the field is dealt 7 cards. Now, the base rule is you call out a card that you have in your hand to see if one of your opponents, usually the person sitting across from you, has one of those card values. If they do, they must give you that card value. You then get a pair and you sit on the table.
Do you have a king?
I do.
Can I take over your kingdom now?
Yeah, exactly. Now there's been a few house rules that have been incorporated, such as you have to go fish if they do not have your card. This requires you to draw from the top of the deck. Rule 1. If the top card is the card you actually asked for, it's called Fishing Your Wish.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard of Fishing Your Wish?
No.
Okay, in Fishing Your Wish, if you draw exactly what you asked for, you get to put it down as a pair and then ask again.
I've heard of that rule. I've never heard it called that.
You never heard it called Fishing Your Wish?
No.
Okay, well, it is. Another rule is there's 2 different ways to win the game. There's first out and there's points. Now, how first out works is the first one to lay every card they have onto the field as a pair, you are done with the game and you're first one out and you win. However, there's another rule. There's another addition to this game. It's called the point system. And what you do for this is, instead of going completely out, the person who goes out now draws 7 new cards and begins again. And whoever can get the most amount of pairs by the end of the game, where every card is dealt onto the field, that person wins. So it could be very well not the person who goes out first. There was other games like Crazy 8.
It's an interesting one.
I don't remember the rules to Crazy 8.
Nor do I. I just know it's
I
interesting.
don't even know why I brought it up, but there's a game called Crazy 8s. It's weird.
Basically, there's a lot of basic
Wasn't
card
that-
games that you play as a little kid.
Wasn't that another pairing game?
I think so.
Okay.
It probably involved 8s.
There was Crazy 8s like Old Maid with poker cards?
I have no clue.
I think that's what it was.
What's Old Maid?
Okay, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. The Old Maid was there's a card it's like 50 cards, 25 different cards.
Yeah.
Each of them has a pair. But then it's 51 cards. 2 of 25 cards, and then the Old Maid is a single card, and the person who gets stuck with the Old Maid loses.
Makes sense.
Yeah. There was the Great Dalmuni, which was like bullshit, but was better. So you have the values of 1 to 12. And there's 1 card, there's 2 cards, there's 3 cards, there's 4 cards.
4 of each value that it matches. Or the value is how many there are of it?
Yeah, that's how many there is.
That's what I meant.
So there's like 12 peasants. So the way you do this is you try to win the round. And so what you could do is you could say, I have 3 jacks, which was the 3 card.
Yes.
There was only 3 jacks. And if someone called bullshit on you because you're putting these cards face down, you have to flip over your cards. If you did actually put 3 jacks, they have to take all the cards on the field.
Yeah, just like in Bullshit.
Yeah, just like in Bullshit.
Which is also a fun game to play.
And basically, you just go around and around and around, and the pile gets bigger and bigger, and eventually someone has to call bullshit.
And then they're just doomed.
Yes.
Oh, I like that game actually.
It is so much fun just to see who gets screwed over the worst.
Hey, it's like double. Like the best part of it is like people looking at you, saying, "Oh, I see you made a lie," and then boom,
You know what?
it wasn't true. They
You know
get
what?
the pack.
You know what bullshit is, right? To link it back to last week's show,
What?
bluff roll, sense motive.
Yeah.
That's literally all it is.
Yes, it is. So another game that there was Hearts. Have you ever played Hearts?
I've never played Hearts.
I've
you ever
played it
played
on
Hearts?
computer.
Okay, you can only play Hearts with 4 people because the cards have to be divided among everyone. The role of this is different than other games. You're trying to purposely not win the hands. And so what you have to do is you have to play the lowest card you can to make sure that you do not play the card. However, you have to play the suit that's on the field. Now, the hearts are point cards. They're the only ones that count. The spades is also the queen of spades, which counts for really badness. So what happens is, you're playing, and eventually hearts get broken. And that means someone can finally put hearts in. I like to try my best to make sure to play one suit, get one suit down to as few cards as I can by trading them off to people, and then play that suit so that I can break hearts first and cause people to get points. And what happens is,
Since when does breaking hearts get points? That is a really cruel thing to do.
actually it gets points to the other people.
That makes
So the
sense.
people who have the hearts get the value of the hearts card added to their point system. And the person with the lowest score at the end of, I think, 6 rounds is the winner. Anyways, back to what I was saying. You got the queen of spades is worth a lot more points than what you usually get for the hearts. Onwards to the next games. Poker. Oh no, you want to talk about speed and gin rummy, so.
Well, those are the more mature card games, transitioning from the more juvenile ones that we were talking about. Though I already noticed we're kind of transitioning to this already, talking about bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but if a bunch of little 8-year-olds are screaming out bullshit, I'd be a little worried.
Hey, this generation is kind of bad right now already.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right.
But
So tell us about speed first.
Speed, I always like it because it's really just trying to go as quickly as you can. It's been a while since I played it, honestly. So I don't remember much, but I do remember that it's all about getting through as fast as you can. So, you want to play your card as quickly as possible. So you see one card played, and then you keep going. You have to play your cards, and whoever gets, and if I remember correctly, the winner is whoever ends up without any cards at the end.
All right.
And so it's just a really fast-paced game, hence the name. And thankfully it doesn't have Keanu Reeves. But yeah. So just getting through it as quickly as you can. I don't remember much about it, but I always love the thrill of trying to, quick thinking.
Quick thinking, slap it down as fast as you can, yeah. Kind of like Slap War.
Oh yeah, War, yes.
Well, Slap War was different. Slap War, you slap the pile to take it. Tell me about Gin Rummy. Doesn't your mother love playing Gin Rummy?
I'm not sure if it's Gin or Rummy or Gin Rummy Total. We just always called it Rummy.
Okay, well,
So I'm not sure what specific rule set it is.
Tell me about Rummy then.
Basically, I always liked that game because, it does adhere to the same matches sets that poker does, for instance. So you got your 3 of a kind, your 4 of a kinds, your straights. Your 3 of a kinds, 4 of a kind straights. You've got your, you got your pairs, you got your flushes and stuff like that. But the interesting thing is, there are some house rules. One of the ones I always played growing up, but I realized I was being a wimp about it, is no 3 of a kinds or 4 of a kinds or pairs. And I never liked that because I always like getting a straight. And one of the house rules with that is, when you get a straight, if you can kind of loop around. And by that I mean if you get a straight, you can have like King, Ace, 2. So, you loop around to get that. The point of it is to get as many points as you can. So each value of card that you play has a point. So, you got your number cards, your 2 through 9, 2 through 10, which have a point. Then you got your face cards, which have a point. And I think the number cards are 5. The face cards are worth 10 points. And the ace is worth 15. And it's a point game. You want to get as many points as you can. The amount of pairs and stuff, or straights or whatever you get, those combinations don't matter towards your points. But you want to play them because you want to get them out of your hand, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always great. It's always interesting because it's not just drawing a card and everything like that. There's also a discard pile. In Gin Rummy, you always end your turn by discarding a card. And when you start your turn, you can either draw from the deck, or you can take the discard pile. And I'm not sure if this is an official rule or it's a house rule replayed. Obviously, the discard pile is going to get bigger and bigger as the longer you're playing, right? So the trick is, if you want to take a card from the discard pile, say the card you need is 5 cards deep. There's 4 cards on top of it, right? When you take that card, you need to take all the cards on top of it too. So it becomes a strategic thing. It's like, do I risk drawing from the deck to see if I'm going to get a card I can use? Or do I take this card that I can use right now and get all these other ones I don't necessarily need right now? So it's always strategic. It's seeing how many cards. And the thing is, the first person to run out of cards that ends the game. They can still lose at that point because they need to add up points. But it's not likely because much like you gain points for the cards you've played, you lose the same amount of points for them being in your hand. So say you're holding on to 2 aces and someone else runs out of cards before you, that's 30 points, you're down.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so it's a strategic game right there. Do I play this, do I do that? But I've also liked it for one other thing. Straights can start with only being 3 cards, unlike poker, which needs to be 5. So you can kind of get a straight, and you can also play off other people's straights. Say they have a king ace 2 of hearts, you can then play, because it needs to be the same suit for a straight in that. You can then play, and you have the 3 of hearts or the queen of hearts, you can play both of them on yours to get your points to play off of what they played.
So, since we're talking about suit and playable hands, let's go ahead and talk about poker. There has been 3 different types of poker that have been really popular. 5-card draw, 7-card stud, and Texas Hold. So, how it goes. First, 5-card draw. You are given 5 cards, and you must make a hand out of these 5 cards, but you can discard as many cards as you want and draw that many cards back. So if you were to discard 3 cards, you would draw 3 cards. The dealer would deal you 3 cards. And usually this ends up being common because it's like, I have a pair. Get rid of these 3 cards to see if I can make it better. 5-card draw is the most commonly seen video poker game.
Wait, I thought it was like Texas Hold'em because I see that a lot on Facebook.
Dude, no. I'm talking about actually at a casino.
Oh.
Like video poker.
Oh.
The Dragon Quest games casinos use 5-card draw. I just got to a casino
See what
yesterday.
I'm doing though? I'm leading it into video games again. Here's the bridge, people. People play these games online, which is funny because it's like the whole thing is about luck, and these are the absolute worst card games to play on video cards because the computer cheats.
Praise RNGesus.
You're not even trying to win against another hand. With video poker, you just want to have a good hand. It's like, if you get a pair, we'll give you your money back. If you get 2 pairs, we'll give you 25 cents. If you get a full house, well, I guess we have to actually give you money for that one. I don't know. So there's video poker on, so 7-card stud. 7-card stud.
I learned all about that from a Super Nintendo game called Vegas Stakes.
It's a fun game. So what happens is you have 5 cards in your hand, and then 2 cards that are shown to everybody on the field that you have in your hand. And you have to make a 5-card hand out of these 7 cards. And then you bet around the table, determining whether or not, those cards are good or not. So that's 7-card stud. It's exactly like poker, same rolls. You got the pair, the 2-pair, the full house, the straight, the flush, the straight flush, and the royal flush. Oh, and 3 of a kind is right before full house.
Also, did you say 4 of a kind?
God damn it.
Wait,
Okay. 3 of a kind, full house, 4 of a kind. That's how it goes. And
Full
also,
house. Oh wait.
so on the off chance this only happens if 5-card draw and 7-card studs will not ever happen in Texas Hold'em. Say you have a royal flush of hearts and I have a royal flush of spades, I actually beat you.
Suits have values? Or hierarchy?
No, only the spades has hierarchy. It's the weirdest thing. Actually, it's supposed to be spades, hearts, clubs, diamonds. Is the hierarchy of suits.
Doesn't make sense, actually.
It only gets brought up if there's royal flush, more than one royal flush on the field.
Well,
That's
see,
the only time it
if,
makes sense.
if you take a spade and hit someone in the heart, they die. That's how it wins.
Spade is the highest class because the ace of spades was used to prove that taxes had been paid on this deck.
History, everyone.
History. That is why the ace of spades is so fancy. It is actually the taxation mark that is put onto a card. They turn it into the ace of spades.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a cool song.
Also, spades represent swords from the Terra, and swords was the most powerful of the Terra cards.
Well, see, if you take a sword and you put it in... No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you take a sword, you put it into someone, eventually they die. Eventually. I mean, it's not like a gunshot. It actually could take a while to kill someone with a sword. Sad as
Anyways,
true as it.
back to card
Back
games.
to card games. We're not talking RPGs today. So that's poker. So then there's Texas Hold'em. This is the game that you see done on TV all the time. You got your old guys, you got your young guys, and they sit around the table talking shit to each other.
Are those like the shows where it's like a dude has shades inside a room?
Yeah. It's that kind of thing. It's because they don't want to show their eyes, man.
That's kind of cheating.
Texas,
actually.
no, it's not cheating. Texas Hold'em is all about not showing your tells. All it is betting on the other person's hand. You don't even care about your own hand. What you care about is what everyone else has. It's like, how can I? You know what? Then is going all in cheating, especially if you're bluffing.
That did not
You
work.
have shit hands. I'm all in.
That did not work
But you
out
have a
well
shit
for me.
hand. But I intimidate you with all my money piles.
Maddrequiem, that did not work well for me last time I went all in.
Yeah, you can't fail that.
But your dad ended up winning instead of your sister, so.
Yeah, that's true. True.
The problem with having a pile of 1s and 5s when he has a pile of 100s.
Yeah, exactly. So what you do is you have 2 cards dealt to you, and then there's 5 cards put on the field, and anyone can use those 5 cards, and you can use any combination of the 7 cards that is available to you. So pretty much everyone has the same hand, but you have 2 cards extra.
It's kind of, honestly, the way you phrase it, it's kind of like a reverse version of 7-card stud. Whereas in 7-card stud, everyone sees the 2 cards on the top of your 5. In Texas Hold'em, everyone shares these 5 cards that are in the middle. But you have your 2 cards no one else can see.
And
So it's kind of
this
like reversed.
is for some reason a spectator sport. I'm just kidding. It's much more exciting than watching football.
What?
Football's exciting.
not that
I
exciting.
can agree. Football is kind of not exciting.
Okay, can I just
like
say
a bunch of burly men running around in the grass.
I can see that. It does have its moments.
Okay, I just want to say something to all you sports fans out there. Sports are games. Thus, games are sports. Deal with it. We're in the same league together. You can be intelligent and do fun stuff too. Deal with it. Also, it kind of sucks that we don't have a baseball team.
Hey, I was on academic decathlon. I know what you mean.
Here in Laspo?
Here in Laspo, we only have a men's soccer, a men's football, water polo,
So men's football and men's
and
football.
fencing. I mean, the fencing is awesome, right?
No volleyball?
No, we don't even have volleyball. I just talked to Brandon Byrne. We do not have volleyball, nor do we have a poker team.
Actually, if there's
We
a
should have a
volleyball team, I
poker
would
team.
actually support it.
Yeah, I know. I would like baseball though.
Baseball?
Baseball is awesome. It's a great sport for someone like me, you know, the powerhouse. Boom! Yeah.
I don't see it
I don't
exciting.
run really fast, but I do hit the ball.
Oh, so you're just relying on home runs then?
Yeah. It's called Home Run Derby, man.
That's fun.
Okay, so back to cards because we're getting distracted again.
It happens.
What was next on our list for after poker? Magic the Gathering, also known as Math Teacher Has Brilliant Idea.
Also known as if you play blue deck, you're evil. And or a dick.
I love you too, babe. Anyways.
You agreed with me when I brought that up.
So I think his name was Garfield. I'm like 90% certain his name was Garfield. He's a math teacher who came up with the brilliant idea of resource management and mathematical skills to make a card game. So it was very basic at the beginning. Ooh, you have elves. Ooh, you have demons. Ooh, you have angels. You know, you've got these representatives of races in different card elements. So things that belong in the sky and the sea are blue. Things that belong in the forest are green. Things that belong in the frost in the mountains are red. Things that belong in the swamp and belong to death are black. Things that are holy are white, and things that run in the plains, you know, the fields. And then the last one was that 5? Pretty sure that was 5. That was the 5 colors. And then you had the 0 color, which meant this is not a color, it requires no colored mana, and it is artifacts that everyone can use. So originally there was only monocolor cards. So green had only green mana required, red only had red colors required, and your strategy was every round, if you have a land in your hand, you can put it on the field, and this land can be turned to the side to produce mana, which meant one energy of that color. So red for mountains, green for forest, blue for island, white for plains, black for swamp. And so you had 2 different casting costs. You had the colored cost, which meant it required a certain mana color, and the colorless cost, which meant it was just a number, and you would have to tap any land you want to summon that card on the field. Very simple, very fun game. Started very easily. The original concept of Magic was, at the beginning of the game, after you've drawn your cards, you take the top card from your deck, you show it to your opponent, and you put it into what's called the anti-pile.
That seems to have a lot of process.
It is very processed. It's a very complicated game.
And you said it was easy.
It was very easy in the beginning. Now it's incredibly complicated, but so the idea was you put an anti-card in.
Same.
And this was back when the cards were pretty much worth only 10 cents each. You put a card in, and it's called the anti-card, and whoever wins the game walks away with those cards. So every game you risk 1 card. But as you can imagine, a lot of these kids took these cards to school. They'd come home with less cards than what was in their deck, and their mother would throw a fit. So
Is this something that happened before?
a lot of people are getting their cards taken from them
Why?
because that's how anti works.
Anti?
A-N-T-E. As an ante-up. It's also used in like poker. And it's just pretty
I
much
was just
your
explaining,
wager.
You were
Oh, it's like the punishment thing.
yeah. Your
It's your
punishment for
wager.
losing the game is you lost a card.
Okay, got it.
So a lot of mothers got upset, so they immediately said, okay, we are no longer going to do anti-cards. Which sucked for me because I had a card called Demonic Attorney that's completely useless now. Demonic Attorney says that
Objection. Oh.
either the player forfeits the game or he takes the top 2 cards of his deck and adds it to the anti-pile. Which meant if I won after playing that card, I'd get 3 cards. Or I would get 1 card because the opponent would quit.
So this card is a nerfed card, yes?
Yes, it's now been nerfed because of the fact that anti no longer exists, so it no longer has
So
any
that's
function.
why you keep complaining about nerfed things.
I hate when things get nerfed.
Hey, it needs to be balanced.
It does need to be balanced. So there was a good reason behind it. It's like, oh, my son lost all his cards. It's like, well, guess what? That means your son sucks at playing the game. But I agree. I think the ante was not that good of a choice of a thing to do. Though I would have liked there to been some sort of, payoff for winning or something.
To be fair, there's nothing saying anyone these days can't institute that rule themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
As a house rule.
So Magic has grown in very popularity since, I think it was 93 when it was brought out.
Oh, that long?
It was.
It's ancient.
It's ancient.
They're just now entering the Renaissance.
So originally it was just here's a plane. Then a few planes they did specialized. The Meriden set was heavily artificial because it was in a world where everything was part metal. Then they did a Japanese mythology set where the concept was flipped, so the white characters were actually the bad guys and the black magic characters were actually the good guys for this set.
Shiro, Kuro.
What it was
Hi.
in the Japanese one was the head emperor of the world decided that it wasn't enough to rule the world, he must now be immortal. So he stole the essence of life from the spirit realm,
That's so...
thus releasing
ancient.
the anger of all the spirits from the spirit realm. So all these guys that they have been praying to for a long time that they thought they might not exist, but might as well pray to them just in case, suddenly start manifesting in the world and attacking people randomly.
So they... are they called yokais?
No, they're just called spirits.
Damn it.
I know. Such a waste of opportunity.
There's no hungramps.
Yeah, exactly. So it went Japanese, then it got to a lot of people liked using 2 colors for their decks. A dual color deck. So, you'd use green and red or you'd use black and white just to be messed up. And so Magic watches their players and said, okay, you guys like using these combos so much, we're going to create a world called the Guild Wars world. And what Ravnica had was the fact that you had specifically built in the game a black-white deck, a black-green deck, a green-white deck, basically
Just pairs.
every 2, every combination of 2 that you can come up with, and there was a guild behind it, and there was a storyline behind it, and it had a certain play style.
I'm sorry you said black-white deck. I just went to Pokemon.
Yeah. So, there's also, I am notorious at the school, actually. Pretty notorious.
Dun
For the
dun.
fact of being a blue card player. Okay, here's the thing. Normally you have creatures. Normally you have spells. You balance your deck with spells and creatures. My deck was built off a different concept. Normally you have to deal damage. Everyone has 20 life points. You have to give through their creatures to them. Deal the 20 damage. But there's another offhand way to beat your opponent. It's called milling them. What that means is, if at any time they reach for their deck and they can't draw a card because they drew themselves out. Okay.
Just keep talking about me.
Yeah. So, if any time you can't draw from the top of your deck, you are disqualified from the game. What my deck would specifically do was take away cards from the top of your deck. Every card I had took more cards and more cards off the top of your deck or made you draw cards. I have, in a fight between 6 different people, 6 of us, 5 other people and me, I milled them all in one move. Like, I took care of all their decks out one turn, and I said, okay, I have my turn. Game over, game over, game over, game over, game over.
So it's basically one of those OP decks, yes?
It can get
What?
It gets very OP, but it also dies to rush decks.
What color was the deck? What color was the deck that your friend Joey did? That he got to go like 6, or was it John that got 6, like 3 turns in a row?
It's a red deck.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a messed up red deck. Okay, so we're going to go on to our next topic. You were going to talk about Hearthstone?
Poke cards, please.
Oh, Poke Cards. I'm sorry.
Same creators, both Magic and Pokemon trading card game are Wizards of the Coast. So they're
Really? Pokemon's owned by Wizards of the Coast?
Oh, the card games, yeah, they're created. The cards are published and everything by Wizards.
Are you certain?
100%.
Okay, anyways.
That's why they are kind of similar. You have the same basic principle of, you got your colored energies, you've got your creatures, your Pokemon that are of those colors, but it also adds on the more Pokemon-centric stuff where you've got your energy cards attaching to it. You've got your type weaknesses and strengths and resistances.
For those who don't know, Wizards of the Coast also owns D&D currently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
That
Pokemon.
tabletop.
The whole concept is you've got the Pokemon. They're your creatures. You have the items from the game as spells, and your mana gets placed not on the field but onto the Pokemon themselves. And so you get to basically use the same ability over and over again as long as you have the energy provided.
Enough
Energy. So they recently added added dragons, and when they added dragons, they added a special energy called the Double Dragon Energy. Now I know you're thinking, they get 2 dragon energies for my 1? No. They get a card that says that as long as this is attached to a dragon, it counts as 2 mana for any color that dragon requires. Which means if I'm Salamence and I require a fire and a water and a colorless to be able to use the ability, my 1 dragon card says that I get to have that fire and that water.
That's still OP.
It only applies to dragons and
It only
otherwise
applies to dragons though,
and
and
it's
the
bound-
dragons, all their attack costs are much higher than normal.
Okay.
and they're multi-elemental, so you could need a water, a fire, and an electric, and a colorless. So instead of having to pack your deck with like 5 different types of energy, the double dragon energy kind of helps you overcome that, so you can make your deck more balanced.
There's another thing. This is a special energy. Now, your normal basic energy, you can have as many as you want in your deck. Special energy, you can only have 4 of in a deck. So while I can have 20 different mana, I can only have 4 of those being the dragon energy, which means it's much harder to pull them from the deck too.
I haven't played the recent one, I've just seen him play the online version. Isn't there also steel types now?
Yeah, there's been steel types. There's been steel types since
My
the second edition
big
of the game.
experience with it was the old Game Boy Color game. And I always loved it because since it's a card game, it has to have music, and for some reason they decided, let's go with jazz.
Jazz.
It has jazz music. It has the best jazz
Like
music.
free-form jazz.
One of the best
Rules
parts
are still the same.
One of the parts of the Game Boy one that I liked the best was he tutors you with a fight that he takes you through the fight step by step to ensure your victory. Here's the thing, you can fight him again and it will be the exact same game over and over again, and what happens at the end of this is he will give you a booster pack of nothing but energies.
And the nice thing about that is if you can get a hold of that, it's on 3DS Virtual Console too. Unlike Magic, which just has gotten more complicated over the years, so you need to figure out what's this do, the nice thing about Pokemon is even since that game came out in like 98 or 99, the rules are still essentially the same. So if you can do that, you can learn the game that way and then just still get a brand new deck that came out last week and still be able to play, because the rules are the same.
The most recent things about Pokemon, the trading card game, which is online now, here's my favorite part. You can buy the physical deck if you play it in real life. Well, not offline. Let's just call it offline. If you play it offline, you can buy a deck, a current deck, and in that deck it will have a card that will have a code, and that code you can put into the trading online game, and they will give you that deck for the online game.
But he hasn't bought any, but they also crafted the online one, so through the matches and everything, you'll get enough coins to be able to purchase everything.
The online ones are all real decks. And
I know. I'm saying you don't need to actually purchase real life ones. You can earn enough coins to get them
through
in-game.
struggle
online.
and difficulty and constantly playing the game, you can actually achieve the coins to pay for all of the decks online without spending any real money. It's really, really hard. It takes a very long time.
Okay, so while we're in the topic of online card games, we're gonna talk about like the famous ones right now called Hearthstone. At the moment where we're talking about online card games, right now Blizzard has made one of the best, and some people might say bad, but still one of the most famous at the moment because of how people been streaming on it and showing it that it's a good game, and its name is Hearthstone.
But does it have the Lost Vikings?
It doesn't.
Hearthstone's World of Warcraft. It's
Yeah,
not.
I know.
It's
It's
not
base of World-
Storm
To be
or whatever
fair,
it's called.
To be fair, the Lost Vikings do cameo in World of Warcraft.
Oh, but that's
That's beside the point, hon.
I know.
So go ahead. Tell me why I should like Hearthstone versus the World of Warcraft card game that originally came out.
I did not know there was a World of Warcraft card game.
There was.
There's your answer.
I have
because
tons of them.
the answer is because Hearthstone's actually well known.
Hearthstone still exists. No, go ahead and explain to me how you function in Hearthstone.
Okay, Hearthstone is a 1v1 card game, obviously, and it's based off starting with you have to choose with a character between 9 different characters, and each of them have a certain hero power unique to each other somewhat, and some of them at the moment is weak, some of them are very strong. It's a meta based game,
Yeah.
and which kinda I don't know if it's like comparable to actual card, like physical card games, that it has to be like if that deck is good, does that apply to like actual card games? Like
Actually, they are actually
There
something
is a lot of counter strategies.
What I notice is like with like the cards, like if a card gets updated so its stats can change. Is that what you're referring to?
yeah,
I actually noticed that in something I read recently was the Pokemon trading card game is actually re-releasing a bunch of like old cards, and like it's refining them. Like there's a Charizard card that's coming out recently. Its main attack now takes 1 extra energy and does double the damage, and as a result its power is slightly changed. So they do that in real games where they can take like older cards and then revamp them to redo them to make them kind of fresh and new.
okay, so it does have the similarities then. And then for the way you play in Hearthstone, you start with 0 mana, but once your turn starts, you get 1 mana. But
Yeah, you have an automatic mana system. I noticed that about that game.
yeah,
There's nothing wrong with the automatic mana system. It's like every turn. So if I wait 3 turns, I can summon something with 3 turns worth of mana.
it basically shows that it says there's an early, mid, and late game.
Yeah.
It's almost like MOBA, to be honest.
We will be talking about MOBAs in another show.
But
In
yeah,
the future.
In the future. Okay, go ahead. We've killed our co-host, and we're just going to continue on to the next game. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead
Alright.
and finish up with the informing us of Hearthstone, Heart of the Alliance.
oh,
No,
so
I'm just kidding.
before you gain
Horde.
like mana and stuff, you have to choose a certain card. I mean, a starting hand. I think it's called Mulligan.
Mulligan.
That's a common turn.
My
Turn.
hand
Like in golf, a mulligan is
sucks.
redoing your shot.
Yeah.
Like the first one ever happened.
I must have a different hand.
So yeah, mulligan is the first. Then if you're lucky enough, you get a very good start, which would people call curves, where it's like, oh, you have to start with 1 mana. A card that has a 1 mana, it's good for you to start with. Then second, after that, continues on. Then the thing right now is that, well, at the moment, some people say Hearthstone is has a similar like a similar style with, not really style, more like some of it has some similar play style with Magic the Gathering. For example, the milling. There's this deck called the Rogue Mill deck, where you cause your enemy to draw more than 10 cards. That's the limit of cards that you have in your hand, and then it makes the person discard the card, and after that it literally makes the enemy draw his whole deck. It's almost the same as how you explained a while ago.
So if they can't draw, they lose the game?
Because if you overdraw from 30 cards, you take damage, and per turn it will increase, and your health is only 30 health.
Oh,
And then
fantastic.
And then guess what? That
What?
card that has been mostly used for that mill deck is a Blue Gill Murloc.
That's right. Okay, so do you have anything else to tell us about that?
And to be honest, yeah, one of the favorite. The Mill Rogue deck is one of the best. I like it, but at the same time I don't like it because basically you're just indirectly killing them.
I like it.
Suffer for your insolence of playing against me.
What's wrong with stabbing someone viciously in the brain?
I don't like. I'd rather punch them in the face.
Well, stabbing in the brain is like stabbing in the brain is like punching them in the face. It's just with a knife at the top.
Ay.
Hey, Kokoro, are we still recording? It looks like it stopped.
No, we are. I
it's
noticed it's
zoomed out.
moving.
It's zoomed out.
Oh, it's zoomed out. Okay.
I noticed that too.
We're still new here, and we're making sure that these things get done right.
I've been using Audacity for years.
Alright. Okay, so
No one believes you. Shall we go on to the next game, or do you have?
at the moment, Hearthstone has this status of imbalance. Unbalanced cards are there, and
There will always be about.
yeah. And at the moment, right now they're trying to patch up stuff mid expansion, and I remember they're nerfing a lot of cards. Like Execute has new mana, Charge, especially Charge, the Charge card for Warriors deck, because that thing is a key part of the OTK decks, also known as the one turn kill. Now that charge card, which is very vital for it, is nerfed to that you cannot attack the person. It gives still the charge, but it won't let you attack the person, so it won't kill them.
That sucks. Didn't you have some news about Hearthstone too?
You just already addressed it, like with the patches, the mid
Oh, okay. Well, as long as we got that covered, that's
mid
what's
expansion
important.
patch.
And where
A lot of online stuff does that. Like MMOs do that all the time. Like with Final Fantasy 14 always does that with like .253545.
yes, and overall, Hearthstone is almost a very simple card game, unlike that Magic the Gathering you guys said.
Yeah, you can't update that game because that would change the cards, and we don't change the cards.
That's one thing I like about the Pokemon trading card game. Like I said, the rules are the same, so it's simple. You get a rule set, or you play the trading card game from like 20 years ago. You're still good.
Okay,
Alright, so we're transitioning. So if you're still looking for a type of card game that is very simple, there's a card game called Cards Against Humanity. It's very simple.
Ah, yes. Cards Against Humanity.
It can be tricky, to be fair.
How is it tricky?
It's just
Finding the
fun.
right card to play.
True. There is just some cards that you look at and you're like, I don't know what this card is.
Hey Matt, explain to me what's this Cards Against Humanity?
Okay, so there once was a game called Apples to Apples where you took a verb and you attached it to a noun based off of the player who was reading the cards would choose what was most accurate to that noun.
To be fair, a lot of people, like I've always played it, to try to pick the funniest.
Well, it's not just about the funniest. It's about
The most
It's
worst.
it's about the original concept was about knowing your opponent. You want them to pick it so that you got the
Green card.
the noun card.
Because
Now-
the adjective cards are green cards, and the cards that you play on them are red cards. You know, green apples and red apples.
Yes,
Yeah.
apples to apples.
But back to Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm leading out here. I'm trying to explain it. So, Cards Against Humanity, it's his older, more perverted, drunk brother, and he like the whole
Drunk alcoholic.
And racist.
and racist and
sexist.
Oh my god.
And everythingist.
Sometimes, man, I sit around the table and I'm like, I want to play something, but damn it, it's racist. So the whole concept is one person's reading everything off, and you're gonna see this when we play it because this is our next episode.
Well,
actually,
hear it.
You're gonna hear us play this. Well, hearing it is better than watching it. I mean, really. So the concept is you have to guess what your opponent will choose for the answer. Here's an example of one that won. The school field trip was ruined by blank. Someone decided to put bukkake.
No.
Yes, the school field trip was ruined by bukkake. If you don't know what that is, do not Google it. It is just a bunch of men releasing themselves upon a woman or a man or pretty
A
much
victim.
anything. A victim. Let's call it a victim.
Another good example that was going around online was this old lady was playing with her family, and the card was, when I get lonely, I masturbate to blank. And the old lady won with Grandpa's ashes.
Oh!
She was the grandma, so if anyone has a right to do it.
Well, yeah, it kind of is.
Okay. So the whole concept is it's a really inappropriate version of Apples to Apples, and it's very fun to play, and to win, it's just a really inappropriate game, which is fun to play. And
Which you'll
the one
hear
who
next
reads
week.
The one who reads the cards is the one who chooses who wins.
They're called the Card Czar, by the way.
All right, so that's all we can do for today. We hope you enjoyed our talk. We hope to catch you on episode 3. And, okay, we hope to catch you soon. And remember, this has been Generation Gaming with Maddrequiem
And DJ Kokoro.
and our guest.
Mirby! Woo!
See you next time.
Peace.
Another card turned to dust. Another card turned to dust. Hello,
Well met.
I got Reno Jackson. I'm about to heal. When you think that I'm about to die, everything is awesome. Everything is good if you play casuals. Everything is awesome. And he's climbing the ladder to legend.
Cause you know I'm only going face, no trading. I'm only going face, no trading. Don't touch that.
Drop it down to boom, baby, that tempo play. Boom, baby, that tempo. I will solve summon this girl. Next turn playing knife juggler, value muster, then top deck shredder, coining challenger, the perfect curve.
Hey, roll lead every day.